good Sunday afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Trevor Journal Fantasy Sports. To my this way is Sean, my co-host. I got down below. I got NFL Chaos with Jeremy, and down on the other end is Payo Time, LA Rams fan. Guys, good afternoon or good morning. How are we today?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Good. Jeremy?
Jetting up, baby.
Yeah, getting ready for back-to-back wins. How about that? Go ahead, Sean.
When is the last time the Jets had back-to-back wins? What year was that?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Oh boy. Probably 2019.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
The first year of Gates, because we actually I forget how many games we actually won.
We went 7-9.
7-9. So yeah, but a lot of injury news today. No Jalen Hurts, no Daniel Jones, Melvin Gordon, Deebo Samuel. I hear Henderson's questionable. Dalvin Cook is out. Swift, James Robinson is questionable. J.D. McKissick is out. Guys, we're getting down to the end of the fantasy regular season. Before they put the 18-week schedule in, most of the time, week 13 was the last week of the fantasy regular season. So some of the leagues might not have changed for that. So, guys, make sure you get your lineups in. But I know our fantasy league that I'm in next week is our last week. Going around, Sean, how are your fantasy teams doing?
They're good. I'm battling the one I already clinched, and the other one that I'm concerned about is I'm battling today. I play the 2 seed, and I'm tied with the 4, 5, 6, 7 seeds. So comes down to an important win today, and just need my team to show up. Injury prone. I got Payo time. I got Payo Time's backup running back Sony Michel, and that's how desperate I am.
Hey, could be a solid play today.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
As long as he shows up, just one touchdown. That's all I need.
Dirtbag showing up, says, "What's up, everybody?" Dirtbag, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Thanks for joining. Jeremy, are you in any fantasy leagues?
For the first time, I'm only in a free one on Yahoo Sports. But I was in a league. I was actually in 2 leagues forever, and when I moved out to California, one kicked me out because they said employees only for the school I worked, and which really pissed me off because that was my real competitive league. And then one that was a little less competitive, it was like half the money, that just faded away because people lost interest. So, but now I'm thinking with the 3 of you here, I think I'm going to have connections to get back into it next year to get into a pay league.
Now I know I know Payo Time. I know you're in a big league that uses a lot of roster spots. How are you doing there?
Yeah, so that's the league where like it's just this insane league where you get like bonus points for trading top tier players, and like there's so many rules, and it's stressful. It's a commitment, but it's awesome, and I love it. And yeah, I've been with those guys for many years now in this fantasy league, and so yeah, very thankful for it. I am currently. It's a tight league. I am currently in last place, but like it's close, folks. It's close. The Rams, obviously. I went with a bad draft strategy of drafting so many players. They're all on the same team because I let my fandom, poison my fantasy football IQ, which okay, whatever. And but today I think I have a couple of tough decisions. I'm pretty much my biggest like debate that I'm going through is I have to play 2 defenses. I have to play either the Rams against Jacksonville, the Eagles versus the Jets, or the Bengals versus the Chargers. What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
I would say the Eagles versus the Jets. At least that one.
Yeah.
I actually have the Eagles. I have them projected as the number 1 fantasy defense this week. So I'd go with that.
As much as I hate to say it, the Jets turn the ball over a lot. Zach takes a lot of sacks. So
yeah. Yeah. So let's take a look at the schedule here. There we go. Let's get this out of the way so we're not covering anybody up here. So let's take a look here. We got Arizona going to Chicago. I'm not sure if everybody's back. Sean, do you know if Hopkins and Murray are back?
Yeah, they're both expected to play. How much they're used or how mobile they are for both players is going to be questionable, I guess they said. I would think Hopkins they'll throw to him only in desperate needs. But Kyler Murray, they're going to he'll probably not run as much and not take the risk for his ankle just because it's 5 weeks until the playoffs and they're battling head to head for the 1 seed. So they need everybody on deck for those.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, anything else on that game before we move on?
I think obviously I want the Cardinals to somehow lose that game. That would be beneficial to my Rams. But I'm really interested in now that Kyler Murray's back, what happens with James Conner in that, and because he's been hot recently.
I don't think it'll. I think it actually helps James Conner more, just because I think inside like the 10 to 15 when they do the quarterback RPOs and all that, or they hand it off, I think Kyler Murray could drag a lot of players to either left or right and hand it off right up the middle for Conner. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Conner does lead touchdowns on the season, I believe, rushing.
Yeah.
Would you rather play James Conner or Leonard Fournette today?
I'd rather play Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Against the Falcons, yeah.
Yeah, James Conner, just with Chicago's defense, I mean, they don't give up many rushing yards, but they give up a lot passing-wise to the running backs, I know.
Let me look. Fournette, I do have Fournette projected as the 4th running back this week. Let's see, Conner is about 10th on the list, still projected at 14.1 points in a PPR league. But yeah, definitely have Fournette going up against Atlanta's 27th against fantasy running back. So definitely the better matchup there.
Cool.
Yeah, Atlanta struggles.
Yeah.
What about James Conner or James Robinson?
Conner.
Yeah. Okay.
Robinson's banged up.
Yeah, Robinson's I thought he was questionable, like Sean just said. Jeremy, anything on that game before we move over?
No, I agree. I mean, I don't like playing banged up players, man. That scares me because they could be out the second, first drive of the game. They take a hit and it's like, nope, that was a bad idea. I wasn't ready. Yeah. It's just rolling dice. So, yeah.
Ron, Dirtbag with a question: Rondale Moore or Christian Kirk for PPR? Guys, while I look those up, any of the 3 you can go ahead and chime in on that.
That's a tough one. Dirtbag. Wow. I lean Christian Kirk myself. I think with Rondale Moore, you have to rely on a little more big play from him. Like I feel like Kirk gets a little more consistent targets.
Yeah, I like Kirk more just for the fact that he's lined up on the opposite side of the field than Hopkins, and with Hopkins back, the Bears are going to probably target Hopkins more. So Kirk, I feel like, could get more receptions where Moore might get, if they're trailing, which I don't see them trailing, he might get played more. But with Hopkins back, I think it's going to be Hopkins and Kirk again, like they were in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Other than week 2 against Minnesota, Moore doesn't have that was 114. The next highest was 68, and then he only has one other game over 50 yards. And he only has 3 games over 8 targets.
Wow. So yeah, nothing. Let's go back to the schedule here.
It's a good question though, Dirtbag. Yeah.
So we have Indianapolis going to Houston. Houston looked good for about a quarter and a half last week against the Jets, and then got completely shut down. So what do you guys think of the Colts?
Jonathan Taylor is a beast.
JT gonna eat.
Yeah.
If the Jets ran and 3 running backs that all averaged, 2 of them averaged one averaged over 5 yards, one averaged over 7, and the other one averaged like 4.7. So if the Jets did that to Houston, can you imagine what's going to happen with the Colts and what Tyler's going to do?
Yeah, and even look at last week's game. Jonathan Taylor, I think until the fourth quarter, only had like 30 yards rushing, and I think he almost doubled that up in just the fourth quarter alone on one drive. I think he had like 50 yards. I think last week was the first game in 10 games since he didn't have 100 yards overall receiving and rushing, but he still had his impact. He scored a touchdown for, I think, the 5th or 6th straight game. And going against the Texans struggle with the rush. They struggle with the pass. They struggle with their whole team.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the first game we get into that might have some playoff ramifications here are the Chargers going to Cincinnati. What do you guys think of that? Not just the matchup, but then any fantasy matchups.
This is like a gut instinct for me. I actually think this could be a game that's lower scoring than people think it's going to be. I think these two teams match up well with each other defensively. And yeah, I obviously you're still going to start Burrow, you're still going to start Herbert. But I don't know, like I don't see this being a, huge scoring game personally. Obviously you're starting young, but like if you have other options, do you consider benching Keenan Allen? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Sean, what
I
do
don't
you think?
I don't think bench Keenan Allen. He gets too many targets a game, regardless who he gets covered by. I mean, if I'm going to bench anybody on Chargers, I would probably bench Mike Williams. He's just too inconsistent.
Yeah.
But I think the Bengals got to look to try to get the ball into Jamar Chase's hands. When he gets the ball, I think it helps their offense more.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been getting the ball as much lately. I mean, kind of like the Steelers
going to be there
today
doing his thing.
Kind of like the Steelers last week. I think whoever has a turnover ratio is going to win that game.
Yeah, then what do we have? With Cincinnati, I don't have the standings in front of me. Are they still in a chance at the division title, or is Baltimore pulling away with that?
I think they're only a game back.
Yeah.
Let's see here. NFL standings.
Yeah, Baltimore, I believe they're one. I think they have the tiebreaker over them, maybe.
Oh, they are only a game back. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to be not just a tiebreaker with the Chargers, but that'll be a big game for Cincinnati as far as division standings go as well. Let's see. Minnesota going to Detroit. Sean, I'll let you start with this one. Starting with this one.
Battle of the backup running backs. It's I think it'll be an interesting game for sure. I think Madison's going to help open up the offense a lot for sure, just for the fact that he's got the speed to go outside the tackles where Cook is up the middle more often. Jefferson, he's been playing great of late. I mean, him and Thielen probably are the top 3 duo for wide receivers in the league. So if Cousins can keep his interceptions down, which he has, I think he's 24 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, which is crazy to think that he's not even getting talked about for the touchdown to interception ratio. I think he has the least from starting quarterbacks this year. It's just we're not winning enough, and the fourth quarter drives always are what the killer. The defense always lets us down in the fourth quarter, and I guess if we lose today, I guess you could say the Lions finally got a win, but I think it's going to come down to is Minnesota gets the lead. They just have to try to maintain it. It's just we get leads. I I texted John last week. We have a 7-point lead in every game this year, the only team to do so, and we have double-digit lead in 8 of the games this year out of the 11 we played, and we have a losing record, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, let me look down at Minnesota to see what. Hey, Peo, what was that? Peo, you went to a website that was showing all the playoff
Yeah.
things. Can you either share that or let me know what that was so I can bring that up?
Yeah, for sure. I can share it. I have it bookmarked as the Rams, but you can, I'll change that for you. Who do you want, the AFC or NFC?
No, I was going to look at the NFC to see where Minnesota was in terms of playoffs.
We are a game back. I think we're considered a 9 seed. We're behind. We fell behind Washington on Monday night, and obviously we fell behind San Francisco. I think we dropped at a 9 seed because I know San Francisco and Washington jumped up into it.
Yeah, according to this, there's a fit by their algorithm. The Vikings have a 57% chance of missing the playoffs, 17% at the 7th seed, 16% at the 6th seed, 8% at the 5 seed, and then 1% at the 3-4, and then less than 1% at the 1 and 2 seed.
Yeah, we ain't getting no 1 seed, that's for sure. We need to win out for that, and everyone else will lose or tie. But the division, I think if Minnesota loses today, the division's locked up already.
Did you guys see the crazy thing that some intern at the NFL network group did about the Lions' path to the playoffs?
No.
Yeah, they need 126 things to go their way.
Yeah, it's not mathematically they're not out yet.
But they lose today, it's over. They have to win out.
So they have to win game for them.
They got to win out.
We have Woodsy coming in, Ertz or Higbee today. Peo, what do you think of the Higbee? He's been struggling lately.
The thing about Higbee, he's had so many good matchups this year, but then just he doesn't perform in those matchups. And again, the Rams, especially the past 3 weeks, we've been in a funk. Higbee's been dropping some passes, which is really annoying. But at the same time, I think he's going to have at least one more great game this season, and it might be today. Do you play him over Zach Ertz? Probably not. But I think if you need a glory play, then maybe Higbee might be one of those glory plays as a flex even.
Now, if you look at projections, Ertz I have at 10.3, and Higbee I do have at 10. Ertz has got the tougher matchup, but he is averaging more fantasy points per week, almost 2 points a game more than Higbee is. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first week Ertz plays with Kyler Murray. Yeah. I don't think they've played together yet.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I just like Ertz more for the fact that he's in a better passing offense, I think, where they use more players, where Matt Stafford, even in Detroit, he wasn't a big tight end thrower. So I don't know if that's the issue with Higbee, because Higbee, like you said, the last few years has been playing great. And then this year it's just, I think they have so many threats in the Rams offense that Higbee kind of is just, I think he's the 7th or 8th best player on the team.
Yeah. The other thing about Higbee is he's the leader in our tight end room, and we've lost so many tight ends to injury this season. So I don't know if it's the type of thing of they're really only using Higbee in blocking schemes because our lesser tight ends that we've had to pick up off practice squads just aren't cutting it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just think Ertz is the safer matchup. I just think because I think he has he's averaging a touchdown a game when he's been with Arizona almost.
I think you go with reliability. You go with the guy who averages more points most of the time, right? I mean, I don't know. You could be in a weird situation where you want to play like does he have a higher ceiling kind of thing? But I mean, it's 2 points a game that adds up, and the smarter overall strategy is just to play Ertz because he just scores more and he gets more points.
And to think about, and if you really think about it, Ertz the first 7 weeks of the year, he wasn't even a starter. He was a backup, so to average 2 more than a guy that's been starting the whole year is even more even impressive for the fact that he didn't start the whole beginning of the year until he was with Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So Wizzy also asks, pick 2, Davis, Bateman, and Hilton.
Which Davis? Corey Davis? Mike Davis?
No, that's more.
That's more. You know what's funny, Jeremy? I thought the same exact thing, and I'm like, wait, no, that's more.
I make that mistake every freaking week.
Bateman, I think, is a lock. I would think him being in Baltimore. Hilton, he's kind of overshadowed by Pittman being the second-year receiver there. He's kind of taken control of that.
Corey Davis. He says Corey Davis.
T.Y. Houston.
I think if it's Corey Davis, I like Bateman and Hilton more, just because Davis is probably going to get Darius Slay locked on him.
You think they'll put him on Davis and not more?
Yeah, I think because of their defensive line, they'll trust that Elijah Moore speed getting downfield. The defensive line will probably get to the quarterback faster, where Davis is better short route and he's got the size. I think for Darius Slay, I think Elijah Moore would be like almost a few inches taller than Darius Slay, because if I'm not mistaken, Darius Slay is only like 5'9", 5'10", which I guess it doesn't matter because he's kind of been overshadowed by a lot of wide receivers this year. And I think in the last 3 weeks I saw he's only allowed 7 yards.
Wow. So he also asks thoughts on Miles Sanders. Sean, you got something to say? Go ahead.
I like Miles Sanders a lot today, actually. They don't have a running quarterback, so they're going to have to trust the run a lot more. And I think Howard is out, so it would only be Sanders and Scott.
Yeah.
So I would trust Sanders more today, just for that aspect of the no Hurts, and they're not going to use him to run the ball a lot.
Gotcha. So let's go back to the schedule here. Thanks for the questions, guys. Keep them coming. We'll answer them. We'll answer all your questions. We have the Giants going to Miami. No Daniel Jones today. I know both teams are kind of on the outside and need a lot to go right to have any playoff chances. But what do you guys think of the Giants Dolphins game?
Well, I'm starting the Dolphins defense.
Looking at the Miami offense, I read a thing today that Jalen Waddle actually has, I think, 27 more receptions than Jamar Chase, and he's the best wide receiver that came out of that draft class so far. And looking at everything with Devontae Smith, Chase, and Waddle, they rank him still the third best just because of the offense that Miami runs.
Yeah.
But I still think that with Tua and Waddle, their connection is it's unbearable. And with the Giants offense, they just have so many injuries. I think Miami's defense is just gonna probably go through them, and probably with Mike Glennon probably get a few sacks and even a turnover or two, kind of like last week.
Yep. I agree with you there. Let's keep moving here. Let's go to the Eagles and Jets. Jeremy, why don't you chime in on this one first?
Well, I just want to say first, I would tread carefully with Corey Davis because he was limited in practice all week, and he still was questionable. He was questionable all week with the groin. So again, that's a thing I usually try to be very cautious with if you have other options. I mean, it would have to be that if you don't have any depth at all and you want to take a risk, but I just consider that a risk. It may mean if you're limited in practice and then suddenly in a game you're opening it up, you don't know how you're going to respond, because I've seen that with groin injuries. Jet fans have lived that with C.J. Mosley. We lost him for all a year because of that. So I'd be careful about that. I'm just saying, so anybody out there, if you have other options, you might want to really think about that. I think the Jets. I think I would. I'm actually thinking this could be a very good, very big game for Elijah Moore. But I mean, you do have to worry about how the Eagles are going to play him and who's covering who for sure. But I think that their secondary overall isn't very good. It's like a one-player thing, so it's like someone's going to put up some numbers. I'm having a good feeling for the Jets today, so I really am. The only thing I wish is that Michael Carter wasn't injured and he was in the game, because I think that that's what hurts that team right now. And there's no running back to think about starting for the Jets, because there's no CB1, there's no RB1. It's just who's going to get the ball out of the three running backs they're going to use. You have no idea.
But you don't like Coleman out of the backfield, even though he had 90 yards last week.
I would just be nervous about it, only because the other guys got a lot of carries too, and they go with the hot hands each game. So sometimes Coleman just disappears. I mean, if I had to pick one, I guess I'm taking him based on the last week. And you look for that kind of stacking and the building of if they did that in place of Michael Carter last week, maybe they'll do it again this week. But tread with caution, because there's no guarantee of that. You know what I mean? If any of the three running backs that play, if they get off to a good start, if Ty Johnson, has a reception and breaks out for a 30-yard reception, you might see him into, like a lot of the drives. Or Walters, this guy Walters was the one that was pretty explosive last week. So you don't know 100% that they're not ramping and preparing. If he gets off to a hot start and has a big run, they might stay with the hot hand. That's their strategy. So I'm just saying it's risky. But yeah, I would take Coleman if I had to, right? If you had which of the Jet are the most likely to get the most carries, I would go with Coleman.
And we talked earlier with the Jets having a chance to win back-to-back games last time. They did that, and it wasn't 19, and it was actually they beat Pitt and Buffalo in back-to-back weeks to end the season in 2019. So things are starting to turn around there in New York. But guys, any other thoughts on that game before we get to some more questions here?
Nah, I just think kind of like what Jeremy said, that game's going to be an important game just for the fact of both teams need to win, sort of thing, and the Eagles need it for any chance for playoffs. That where the Jets kind of want it better if they want a higher draft pick or a lower draft pick.
And honestly, you say that. Jeremy put out a video. Jeremy, I don't know if you can put that in a link to that in the chat there about why we should be wanting the Jets to win now. And I agreed 100% with your take in that video. I agreed last year with wanting to lose because we were going after the quarterback. This year, we're hoping we have the quarterback, and we need development. And you winning games is going to help develop the whole, not just the quarterback, but the whole team.
Well, yeah, and like we talked about, I think last Sunday or even this past Thursday, where we said that just because you have a low top 10 draft pick, don't mean you're going to get the best prospect. It's proven that lately the 11 through 20 pick has actually been the best players coming out.
I wanted the Jets to lose last year too, but then they played the Rams, which was really demoralizing as a Rams fan. But yeah, absolutely. You want to get the the winning culture up and going for sure, especially when you have your quarterback.
Let's get to some questions in the chat here. We got Spoder 107 and Cody U both asking start Waddle or Pittman.
Waddle.
Yeah, I go Waddle.
I go Waddle as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No
Yep.
question.
So, guys, thanks for the questions. Wizzy did ask. We did go over it a little bit before. We went over the Chargers Bengals, but I don't think we really said who we thought would win that game. I'm rooting for the Chargers just because I have Herbert as my fantasy quarterback. But what do you guys think as far as winners go in that game?
I think Cincy wins just because the Chargers got to come from the West Coast to the East Coast, play a 1:00 game. That always affects a lot of teams. And they had a really bad week last week against Denver. And Cincy's defense, I think, is better than Denver's. So I think that home crowd and the noise will affect that game for Herbert.
Yeah, a lot of what Sean said. I have no fantasy players in this game at all. But I do think that the Bengals. I think it'll be a lower scoring game, but I do think the Bengals will squeak it out.
Yeah, toss-up game, but go with the home team.
Yep, absolutely. So let's, guys, keep the questions coming. Let's go back to the schedule. We got Tampa Bay going to Atlanta. We touched on this a little bit ago with some of the questions. Tampa Bay should win this game. Guys, what do you think of the Buccaneers?
I think because you're the defending Super Bowl champ, you're going to have a target on you every week. They're going to get Atlanta's best team. They're going to come out swinging, no doubt. And, they're going to go for it on fourth down when, normally you wouldn't. So Atlanta's going to be playing desperate against them. So I think it'll be a lot dependent on if the Buccaneers have to play from behind in the second half, or if they're playing with a lead. If they're playing for a lead, I think that Leonard Fournette is going to have a phenomenal day today. But on the Atlanta side of it, obviously, I think you're starting Kyle Pitts. You can start Matt Ryan, but there's better options out there. I don't know if I don't know if you can expect big things from Cordell Patterson this game, though.
I just think you can't take the risk on not starting Patterson now, just for the fact that he's so high end worthy, because his games that he has haven't been inconsistent. He's still average 10, 15 fantasy points even on a bad game.
Yeah.
He is Patterson is averaging 18.6 points on the year per game, 27.5 last week in PPR leagues, and I have him projected at 13.9 this week. So
yeah, and that even includes, I think he had 2 weeks where that 1 week he got injured against Dallas, and he only had, I think, 3 fantasy points that week. So you think he's averaging that high with a bad week even.
Right. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Jacksonville. Oh, here we go, Payo. Jacksonville going to the Rams.
Game of the day. Nope.
You guys are I believe you guys are on a three game losing streak here, so should be able to get things turned around.
I've heard the term "get right game" all week, and I hope that's the case. But man, I never thought, at the beginning of the season when I looked at the schedule, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be super nervous when we play the Jacksonville Jaguars, because if the Rams blow this, I don't know. My YouTube subscriber base is going to be so upset.
It's just Jacksonville knows it's such a meaningful game for the Rams. They're going to be playing hard from first minute to the last minute. It's just how great do they play?
Yeah, I do think the Rams defense holds the Jags in check. I don't think the Jags have an offense that can score many points on the Rams defense. Even if James Robinson is healthy, but I really think that on the Jags side of it, I don't know if there's any players you can really start there.
If Robinson's healthy, I think he's the only person you could trust or be trustworthy.
Yeah, and are you going to start Marvin Jones? Probably not. This receiving core, they struggle to get open, and they don't put up a ton of points on the board. I think they might be the worst, if not the second worst scoring offense in the league. But and then the question will be if the Rams offense shows up today, because they've been out of sync. They've been they've scored fantasy points in the past couple of games, Not a ton, but they've been competitive. But yeah, so I am starting all my Rams. I on my 4 leagues, I have pretty much all the Rams that you can have. And it's a terrible draft strategy, but it's a fun strategy if you're a Rams fan. I do expect Cooper Kupp to have a big game today. Yeah,
I think he'll have a pretty big game against a really bad Jacksonville defense. I wouldn't be shocked if he puts up 150, 200 yards.
Yeah, I don't think there's a DB on the Jags that can cover Kupp and what he does in his style of game. So yeah, start Cooper Kupp, probably the best start of the week, for all wide receivers.
Yeah, I have him projected number 1 at 23.1 points, 8 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown. So he'll probably surpass those numbers, honestly. He's averaging 25.2 points in PPR leagues. That's 4 points more than the next wide receiver.
He's so good.
Yeah, it's just, I think, like you said, the Rams offense has to just get going. And if they're down Henderson, then Sony Michel just has to kind of fill that role and keep the offense moving and don't backtrack and don't make it worse. Just maintain it. And if Matt Stafford can keep the pick sixes under control and his turnover ratio lately, because that seems to be what's hurting him a lot, is the amount of turnovers he's been having the last few weeks. And that's where I think the losing streak came in.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So he's thrown a pick 6 the past 3 weeks. And someone told me that Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 3 pick 6 his whole career. And I was like, that flabbergasts me. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, his pick 6s have been terrible throws. Just that's what makes it worse. It's like, why are you even attempting to make those throws, sort of thing? And it's not going to help.
But I'm optimistic today's, the Rams get right game.
Well, it's a revenge game for the Rams in some sense, and let me explain. At least against the Jacksonville fan base, because last year, when the Rams lost that game to the Jets, the only happy fan base other than Seattle, and the happiest fan base was Jacksonville, which that's who you want revenge against, right? Because they were cheering and celebrating that win. Mm-hmm. And the most interesting part is no more upset than the Rams fans were the Jets fans when the Jets won that game.
That's so true. That's a really good tie, Jeremy. That's funny. I'll also shout out, this is Jalen Ramsey's first time playing the Jags since the trade. So we also know he is very petty. So Jalen Ramsey revenge game.
So, Jeremy, you put yourself on mute there. Now, as a vice principal, you should know, did you bring enough for the class of whatever you were eating?
This is actually a snack that we give the kids in the small bag sometimes.
Oh, white cheddar. Oh, send some
Popcorners for the win. Oh, man. Yeah. Unsponsored, right, John?
Right, unsponsored. Right. Unsponsored. Yep, that was funny. What else we got? Washington going to Vegas. I almost said Oakland. This is still taking some time to get used to. Washington seemed to turn their season around. What do you guys think? This should be a pretty decent matchup.
I love the Taylor Heineke story. It's been one of my favorite stories this NFL season, and I hope they win this game. I really do, because I think if by some miracle they catch Dallas in the NFC East to win it, I would just love that so much.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be actually a pretty good game. I think overall, just for the fact that Vegas has to keep winning to maintain any playoff chance in the AFC, and same with Washington in the bottom seeds, because the AFC is so stacked with such good teams right now. You're probably almost going to need 10, 11 wins just to even make the playoffs almost in the AFC, I would think, this year. And in the NFC, you might need 9, 10 wins, but right now every win matters, especially when it's not a conference game. You don't want to lose an interconference game just because that could come down to being a needed tiebreaker even.
Yeah, agree with you there. Let's see here. Is Jefferson balling out tonight? I assume since he's got the Vikings logo there, I assume he's talking Justin Jefferson. Sean, I'll let you start with this one.
I hope so. I think he'll have another decent game. Cousins is always going to just throw his way. I mean, 9 chances out of 10, anything he throw his way, he's going to come down with it. Even if it's not even catchable, he's still going to find a way to try to come down with it. So I think that'll be the game changer day if Jefferson can play great against Detroit and just go off. And if we can get up to like a 10, 14 point lead, I think if Minnesota can do that, I think it'll be easy sailing against Detroit, because once you kind of get them down and out, I think that they're not going to battle back. It's just Minnesota always has the let's throw the ball when we're up with leads late in the game, and turnovers always come about.
Jefferson's getting scoring at least 1 touchdown, maybe 2 tonight.
Yeah. And if by some chance you mean Van Jefferson of the Rams, he's also balling out today.
I hope so. I had him in my DraftKings lineup last week, and he caught that 75-yarder, and I was like, it's money. I was like, money in the bank right there. I'm like, I had him as a captain. I'm like, oh, it was money. I was loving every second of it. And then OBJ caught a touchdown. I was like, I don't want that. Why are you throwing OBJ?
It's going to be interesting to see that. But on Dirtbag's question, Gesicki is one of the most interesting tight ends in all of fantasy football this year. What do you do with him?
He's like he has 3 great games, and then it's like he sleeps for the next 4, and it's like he's in hibernation, and it's like he wakes up for 2, 3, and then it's back in hibernation. It's like I think now that Tua's back and they got the connection going with Waddle and him, I don't know if Gesicki's going to be relevant right now. I just think that right now he's kind of eyeing up Jalen Waddle as much as he can every play, and I think Devontae Parker is questionable for today's game. So if he's back, it'd be really interesting to see how the offense flows then.
Let's see here. Go ahead, Payo. Were you going to say something?
No, I agree with what Sean said. I think you're going to start Gesicki today because you don't have many other options to it. Just at the tight end position, he's someone who does get targets. But yeah, we'll see.
And I do have him projected 10th this week. He averages 10.5 per week, and I have him at 10.3. So just about where his average is. And the Giants are 17th against fantasy tight ends. So he should at least match those numbers.
And with what Wizzy said there with Madison, it's true. His 2 starts this year, he had 115 and 113 yards in both games, and both games, I think he had over 5 receptions with another like 40 yards receiving wise. So I wouldn't be shocked if Madison honestly doesn't get overall 200 yards today, because he's playing a Detroit team. And when his 2 games this year he played against better defenses. So he could even have a better game today than he has in the 2 starts he has had this year.
Mm-hmm.
I said the other night, I said if I love Madison just for the fact of how much of a runner he is overall. If Dalvin Cook would just be traded, I wouldn't even be upset. I don't think, just for the fact that I think Madison's the better overall running back right now in Minnesota.
Yeah, when we talked about that the other night, and I asked you how long Cooks is under contract for. He's actually under contract with Minnesota until he's 30, so another what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, another 4 years he's under. After 25 season, he's a free agent, and we have shown over the years with running backs, once they hit 30, it's kind of, you're not going to get that big contract anymore. And they let Peterson walk. I would not be shocked if they don't draft a running back in the next year or 2 and get ready to start preparing for Cook to get out.
So sorry about that. Just looking. Sean just sent me a text. I don't know if you guys saw. Alabama is number 1, Michigan number 2, Georgia number 3, and Cincinnati is number 4 for the college football playoffs. Should be honestly just looking quick without diving in. It looks like I honestly think it'll probably be Alabama and Georgia. I don't think Michigan's going to be able to compete with Georgia. Sean, what do you think?
I mean, I hope Alabama loses to Cincinnati, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're all tired. I think any college football or any football fan is tired of seeing Alabama win. It's just problem is that it's never going to stop, not for a while.
So I agree. Let's get back to the schedule here. We have Baltimore going to Pittsburgh. The rumor started coming out yesterday that this is Big Ben's last year in Pittsburgh. Now the rumors are that it's his last year in Pittsburgh, not his last year in the league. I honestly think he should retire, but what do you guys think?
For his own health, like do it, Big Ben. Like,
I don't know.
Just retire before. You don't want to play any worse. Like, you don't want to be remembered that way where, it's the end of last year, I was kind of like, and it's too good of a career to like stretch out that way. Like, he needs to just retire.
If he was on any other team other than Pittsburgh, he wouldn't even be a starter.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh at this point, they just kind of feel bad and they need to start him just for the fact of his overall career. But I think if it comes down to it, once Pittsburgh's eliminated from playoffs or they have a long shot, I don't even know if you'll see him start anymore, and they might just start preparing for Mason Rudolph to be a starter. And even then, I don't even know if that's worthy of a guaranteed starting quarterback, just for the fact that he hasn't proven himself in the starts that he has had in his career.
I think something that people don't talk about. So like Big Ben, he's played his whole career with the Steelers, right? He got drafted as a very young man, had success there early on, and for the majority of his career there has had success. And he's built so many relationships, in that organization, and they've watched him. Like he was very immature at times in his life, but if you look at him now, like he's grown a lot as a human being in the human aspect of football, and I think that that's one of the reasons why Pittsburgh is so loyal to him. And I want him to retire just for the sake of his own health. I never want to see. So I don't like seeing career-ending injuries ever, but especially to older players that have had these legendary careers. Like, let them ride off into the sunset, all that jazz. But
he just speaking of like you said, he's being older and he's been in the league so long. He reminds me of Eli Manning. Towards the end of his career, it's just the teams aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing for your own well-being, and I know you want to keep playing, but Roethlisberger's had how many injuries over his career with his legs, his back, his neck, his shoulders, arms, just
our body.
It's just like, it's like just kind of ride off into the sunset and let it be at this point. Why keep battling and trying to play? What do you have to prove at this point? You're not making your team better by being out there. Honestly, I think he's making the team worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Well, one thing though that is of note, my fantasy football league, we were talking about this earlier this week. If you look at his closing schedule, he has like Baltimore, Minnesota, Tennessee, and KC. Like, he has some very favorable matchups to finish off the fantasy football season. And like, so you wonder, like, does he have a couple of big games, and then does that like make the Steelers be like, see, he's good for one more year? Like,
I think even some Steeler fans, you can probably even ask, probably 50-50, you'll probably get even almost 60-40. You'll probably see them say like, it's time. Just it's time. Like 19 years is a lot in the league at a quarterback.
Yeah.
Why keep putting yourself out there? And I know he's obviously had a Hall of Fame career and everything, and he'll go down as one of the best Steeler quarterbacks, but why keep risking every week going out there and one hit being, like you said, career ending, and you go off knowing that your last year you didn't get to walk off the way you wanted to walk out. Yeah. But I see him even going in and being a coaching somewhere for Pittsburgh, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not like, if he wants to continue on and go the like Joe Flacco route of being a backup or something, I'm sure he'd get that opportunity. But if he wants to keep being a starter, I don't think any team's going to line up to get Big Ben as a starting quarterback.
Right, agree with you.
No,
there.
I mean, even look at Michael Vick over the end of his career. It kind of got to the point where it's like you got to just walk away and let it be, and don't keep trying to be somebody you can't be anymore after how many years of being a quarterback.
So let's get back to the schedule here. We have San Francisco going to Seattle. As a Jets fan, I'm actually keep hoping for Seattle losses because we own their first round pick.
Right.
As
a Rams fan, I'm also hoping for Seattle losses because you own their first round pick and they're the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think Seattle's done. I think with today's loss, wouldn't be shocked if you don't start seeing Russell Wilson not even want to give 100% just for the fact that I think his career in Seattle is over.
Bye-bye, Russ.
Yeah.
I'm having a live part. The moment that news breaks, I am having a live watch party on my channel celebrating Russell Wilson leaving the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't think Seattle has it anymore. I mean, look for the fact that DK Metcalf, he one catch last week, and he's kind of gone missing for the past 4 weeks. Like they probably should put a reward out there in Seattle for him because he's gone missing and he ain't getting found anytime soon.
Go Niners.
So, Jeremy, I see you have to go. Why don't you give your YouTube information so everybody can give you a follow over there?
The name of the channel is right there in my name. It's NFL Chaos with Jeremy. I'm not just covering the Jets. It's a little Jet centric, but it's also I'm covering lots of teams. We do predictions, game predictions, just like we're doing now. We do post game. Me and my brother do a show where we talk about every game and what surprised us, what didn't. There's all kinds of just crazy videos. I bring the chaos. John will tell you I can go a little loony sometimes, but that's the fun of it. Some people like it, so check it out. And
I just subscribed.
So I do have that linked. Your YouTube channel down there in the description. So if anybody just wants to go to the link down there, you can find Jeremy there. Payo Time, I have you linked in the description as well. But why don't you give a little info on your channel as well?
Yeah, I talk about the Rams. See, Jeremy, I do watch parties for every Rams game. So I have a big one coming up today. And then I have a show that every Monday I called the Rams Breakfast Club, where we are tracking different, franchise records and thoughts and opinions about the state of the Rams organization. And obviously, it's been a pretty gloom couple of weeks. But then I do lots of other collabs, and I love talking football. And so, if you love talking football, make sure to subscribe to Payo Time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, I know you've tweeted it out a few times. We're actually Sean actually set it up. The NFL.com does a fantasy playoff thing. Sean, why don't you give the information on that?
Yeah, we actually opened it up. We figured $30 a team. Winner, we'll do winner, first, second, third, probably see how many people we get, fourth, fifth. But what you talked about the other week with, you wanted to do a fantasy league with punters. I decided that we'll name the league Punter Lives Matter. And I named it after you. And so far we got 4 people that joined, but obviously we still have 6 weeks until the playoffs begin. But it goes first round. You pick a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a kicker, and a defense. Whoever's in wild card round, if they make it to the second round, they get 2 times points. Third round would be times 3, and if you make it to the Super Bowl, you get times 4. So last year, I know I picked. I think I tried picking everyone that played Wild Card Weekend because you want to always play those people. And I had Tampa Bay players, and last year I picked some of the Chiefs and some of the Packers. It's like you want to have your teams coming. You want to try to have by the second week your Super Bowl teams going. So. But we made the league, and I sent the link to John, and we'll get it out there and try to get some people in, get as many in as possible.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, follow us on Twitter. I just put our Twitter page in the chat there. send me a DM over there. I have DMs open, so we can keep everything private.
John, did you see that question from C Young in there?
Oh no, I did not.
Yeah.
C Young, thank you, Peo, for that. Higbee or Henry this week? Ooh.
I'm going Higbee, but I'm a homer.
I like Henry. He just has that. He has that touch to get touchdowns. He always knows to find a way to the end zone. And yeah, he plays tomorrow night, but at least then going into tomorrow night, I have at least one player on your roster, and he's got a good ratio of getting a touchdown. And he's playing against Buffalo. Bourne and Myers are probably going to get locked down pretty well with the Bills' defensive line and the safeties and all that. So I kind of like Henry coming out and getting the short yardage and possibly like having a really good game just feeding off of that. Kind of back to when he played for the Chargers, he would feed off of the short routes and get his size going downfield and getting the yardage. He reminds me of Gronkowski early in his career. So I think that he's got a good ratio of, like I said, to getting a touchdown, at least for this week over Higbee. I think just Higbee playing Jacksonville, I think the receivers are more or less going to get the ball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's tough. Buffalo is tough against tight ends there. They're sixth. They give up the sixth fewest points, so that's a tough matchup there. But Higbee, unfortunately, he's my fantasy tight end as well, and he seems to disappear at times. And I agree with Sean this week where the wide receivers are going to get most of the touches. I'm going to go watch some 7 hours of commercial-free football with Scott Hansen.
Enjoy. That's the dream. Likewise, man.
Yeah, he is the best, and he's been doing it for what, I think 12 or 13 years. He's only
been a long time.
One bathroom break in all those years.
Yeah.
One bathroom break? Did somebody?
One bathroom break, and it happened because he was sick. He had to go to the bathroom during it, and I think they said he took his mic with him, and he was still talking football. And it's like, so you call that dedication right there. Yeah. He was dedicated, and I love it. I love watching Red Zone. I think it's one of the best. I wish it was cheaper, but you pay for what you get.
Right.
I love sitting there and you just be able to watch the scores, because I wish that you could watch it more like in depth, like you could pick which games. But I think with watching Red Zone, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. No, if depending on what's going on, usually I'll put the Jet game on my computer and I'll put Red Zone on the TV.
Yeah.
Just so I have all
everything going on. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't even remember the last time I watched football without Red Zone. It's one of those things that you enjoy watching just because you get to see every little thing and you don't miss any scores. And I know me and John being on this side of Pennsylvania, all we get is Eagles games and Cowboys games and Steelers. So it gets boring when you watch the same two teams. I just wish that there was no regions to watch. I think it would be better having the best available game on the weekend being one televised.
Yeah, where I live in Canada, we get like Detroit games and Bills games. That's it. And so yeah, I'm a huge fan of Red Zone and NFL Game Pass. And like I'm really curious because the TV contracts are coming up. But you know what? We got 2 minutes. We gotta get this question in.
Yep. Freeman or Juwan?
That's a tough one.
I like Freeman more.
You can go either way, but that's an unfortunate decision you have to make. I guess you have to go Freeman.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think Freeman just has a better upside being a touchdown.
Wizzy, thanks. Wizzy, we do stream Thursday nights at 7.
Thursday night's my Thursday night football game.
Hey, Wizzy says he's Canadian too.
Let's go Canada.
Good day, eh? So let's go back over to this couple more games on the schedule here. Let's see here. We do have Denver going into Kansas City for the Sunday night game. Denver's tough. And you never know which Kansas City team's going to show up. What do you guys think of that matchup?
Patrick Mahomes is 7-0 versus Denver.
Oh.
I don't think he wins on a Sunday Night Football at home against Denver.
You don't think he wins?
I don't think he loses. I mean,
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, that's a bold
yeah.
prediction there, Sean. Okay.
I don't think he loses. They're at home and they're playing great right now. Kansas City overall, I think after the trade deadline, I think that's when their team got awoken. And I think.
Sorry, Sean, to interrupt. I just I've been watching something all stream, and I need to celebrate with you guys. Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports now at 100 subscribers.
Oh man, it has been a long road.
Oh man,
I have been told the first 100 are the toughest.
it's a grind. Yeah.
And you know what, guys? Thanks for the subs. Thanks for the likes. Man, thanks, Pale. Thanks for sharing that. I try not to watch the numbers just because it can get discouraging.
Yeah.
But thanks for sharing that during the live stream. So
no, I've been watching it all live stream. That's why I've been looking at my phone because I'm like, he's got to get there. Today's the day. He's got to get there. So yeah, congratulations. You're putting in the hard work. Really, really excited for you, and I'm sure the best is yet to come.
Oh yeah, we've been working on some off-season stuff as well.
Cool.
So things to try to keep going throughout the year because I don't want to stop doing videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then lose any momentum we might be generating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus,
waiting 6 months until the season starts picking back up again.
Yeah.
Plus, we figured if we can talk off season, trades, acquisitions, free agency, draft, even when the draft comes up, and then when the schedule comes out, like you could have it to talk about like who has the hardest schedule going, who has the weakest one, and just like John said, keep momentum going and. Even to do one a week just to have interaction with some people as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We got one more game here. We have Monday night. We have New England going into Buffalo. Not only is that a possibility for the division lead, but first place, depending on what Baltimore does today, that could be for first place in the AFC playoff standings as well. What do you guys think of that matchup?
I'm really looking forward to that game actually, but I am of the mindset the Patriot hype is a lot right now, and I do think that the Bills are still the better team.
I honestly think New England wins that game.
Okay.
I think Baltimore ends up losing today, and I think New England wins tomorrow night, and I think they take the 1 seed. I like New England. I just like how they're playing right now. They got the defense rolling right now, and compared to what they did in the beginning of the year, I mean, yeah, they played a couple of weaker games in between their win streak here, but they've also played some really good teams. And I just think the Bills, they lost Tre'Davious White last week on Thanksgiving, and they got to go and play a tough New England who has their offense rolling right now, and they're able to run the ball with so many different running backs that the Bills can't even get running going. I think their last 2 or 3 games, the leading rusher has been their third string running back. Mm-hmm. So I just think that in New England shuts down their number one receiver usually. So Diggs will probably get shut down for having a big, massive game, but he's not going to be slept on all game. So I think just New England wins that one just on the road. And I think it's just the momentum. The Bills have proven this year in big games that they haven't always been able to perform. And I think if I remember right, they played Patriots this Monday, and then they played the Bucs, I think, next Sunday as well. Yeah. So back-to-back tough games.
John, I see what you're looking at there. That big play by the Jets. They just got a big return up to the 21
return to start the game. So that's good. But guys, Peo, once again, thanks for joining us this week.
Oh, thanks for having me. You guys
I know. What time do you start your live stream today?
The game's not till 4, but I'll probably start around 3:45, a little bit early. People like to chat before the game.
Yeah, I'll come over. I'll chime in there during the game as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Guys, we'll be back Thursday. I believe it's Pittsburgh and Minnesota this week. For
It
Thursday
is.
night.
Yeah.
So honestly, it'll probably be for most fantasy leagues, probably the last week of the regular season, or if you didn't set things up for the 18 weeks, it'll probably be your first week of the playoffs. So come join us then. Once again, thanks for getting us to 100 subs.
Woohoo! Let's
Hey,
go.
and I want to thank you for just coming in and helping us out every couple weeks. And
My pleasure.
we're a small YouTube channel just getting going here, and you're willing to help us out. So thanks for doing that.
I love talking fantasy football. I don't consider myself an expert by any means, but it's not something I do a ton of on my channel just because of my content. And so I enjoy coming in every once in a while and just chatting with you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing your channel grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
like John said, it's been a long road, and we've done it each week by week, getting better and better. And like I always tell John, it's just it'll take time to grow, and next year we'll only improve on what this year came. So
Absolutely.
it's all we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, so once again, we'll be back Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So hit that like and subscribe button, that notification bell, so you know when we do go live. And follow us on Twitter at Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. We're over there. The games have started, so any 1 o'clock games, your guys are already in. 4 o'clock games, make sure you're checking injuries. And good luck, and we'll see you on Thursday night.
See you on Thursday.
See you, everyone.